mechanics versus the brand new Scarlet and Violet Terrestrialization plus EXs. I think we're in for a treat here, Ethan.
Absolutely. These are two very different decks, two decks that are almost different in ages. I mean, the E-Block is next to go, and that was sort of the staple card to start off the E-Block format. You had these Rapid Strike Pokemon, but also the Ice Rider and Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX. Pablo, as we're setting up for this first game, it's a matchup we haven't really seen a lot, especially as of recent. What cards are sticking out for you for both players if they want to succeed their strategy and put themselves that much closer to getting those championship points and potentially making top cut?
I mean, of course, we know that Charizard, in order to hit for those high numbers, it has to wait for their opponents to take a few prize cards, and the big HP of Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX could be a little problematic. Of course, there's the 330 HP as well for Palkia to deal with, so you would expect a lot of two-hit KOs back and forth. But I think one of the big cards will be Radiant Greninja. Can Austin prevent the Radiant Greninja from being effective against him? And that will require a solid bench. And maybe if Spiritomb does come into play without Rotom B, that can hinder Charizard's setup quite a bit.
Greninja ever so powerful thanks to the canceling Cologne. Let's take a look at these prize cards. That one of Mew being in the prize is not really what you want to see. I mean, as always, it's a liability, but very important for these Charizard decks to get that powerful double rare candy, double stage 2 for turn number 2.
Indeed, and then 2 copies of Cross Switcher. That also could be impactful in the sense that it will limit Joseph's possibilities to cost something up to potentially win, right? And if you're trying to pull off the canceling Cologne plus Cross Switcher combo, which he does have available, then that might prove to be a little challenging, right? There are still the 2 other copies, but pulling it off when you have 4 available is definitely much easier.
Lots of great dynamics, and we're ready to get into it. Swiss Round 13, Day 2, San Antonio Regional Championships, and the Spiritombs start to go off. And I mean, I have to wonder, we may not know, but it feels like both these players may actually want to go second to get their strategies going on with the potential for this Water Toolbox-ish deck, or this Water deck featuring Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX. It does play 1 copy of that Suicune V. We have seen Raikou and Entei be in the spotlight recently, but hey, Suicune's still here. Suicune can still show that it's got some action.
Indeed, Suicune seems like it was the best V Pokemon out of the trio when it first came out, but it's definitely dropped off in popularity, in usability, but we might actually see it here as the aggressor early on. And as you mentioned, yeah, going second, pretty key for both players as it maximizes their chances of having a full setup, right? They have, in Charizard's case, they have Arven to search for those Battle VIP passes. In Joseph's case, they have Irida as well to search for the Battle VIP passes, but we see Joseph off to a pretty strong start already.
And we talked about Spiritomb a little bit. Usually not what you want to start, but I actually think it's pretty solid here for Joseph going here for first in game number 1.
Yeah, honestly, not a bad start. You want that down, right? So it's an easy retreat, right, for a single energy. Chenpa already hitting the board so that we can access more energies. Then we'll be able to draw more cards with Greninja. So you definitely don't mind it. It's a Pokemon you would have searched for anyway. So you're pretty happy with that.
The Irida for Battle Pass, a great combination. We see that in hand for the following turn, but already an excellent start. Searching 3 Pokemon out with that Battle VIP Pass plus Nest Ball, and concealed cards will add some more cards to the hand. It's more water energy, but that's fine to have in the discard pile thanks to Origin Form Palkia V-Star Star Portal ability. It feels like it's been a while since I announced that on a stream.
I know, it's definitely been a while now. Good catch on that second energy attachment. Triple Battle VIP Pass, the shiny one too.
You start to see Austin drawing another one like, all right, I had 2. That's great. Do I even need this third one in my hand? But we'll at least get the opportunity to fill up this bench. Rotom's usually what you want to have down, but thanks to Feathered and Misfortune, not going to be doing anything and will not be selected. No. However, the rest of the hand here is really not looking too great. Now, you can't use the Mew since it's in the prize cards. I don't even think there's an energy card to retreat, even if it were in deck. With having sort of a poor follow-up, assuming no hand disruption comes next turn, how do you set your board up here to respond and rebound?
I mean, I believe I saw an Arven.
Oh, is there an Arven in there?
I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong. Yeah, the
very
last
last card,
yeah. The shiny border definitely throws you off for a loop. But, I mean, I don't think it gets better than this for Austin. The Mew, perhaps, right? The Mew would be the card that he would like to have in the active spot to make sure that he can get that out, like get out of rare candy or something. But, yeah, and I like this. Yeah, it's like you can go ahead and start your turn whilst I finish checking things, both players being very aware of time. I like that.
And keeping the Arven, I feel like a lot of players in that situation would say, I have a supporter card to play for my
Yeah.
turn. I can grab Rare Candy, but for Sealstone right now, not having a lot of value. I mean, if a Pokemon does come down, you can bench the Rotom to find that to get an extra piece. And with Austin's hand, may have to be the choice, but things kicked off back over for Joseph. We'll just start the turn off right away. Shivery Chill also has the, what's the card? Earthen Vessel as well to search out some more energy cards. And with no cards like B-Barrel to fill the hand up, you can kind of just actively thin your deck out as much as you want for these energy cards and try and just draw into as many cards possible as you can.
Another Earthen Vessel found, so plenty of, like, Joseph's definitely not going to struggle for energy whatsoever. Now, the Suicune did just hit the discard pile. I think we're going to see some Palkia aggression here, but this is where it gets a little weird, right? Like, you want to power yourself up with your V-Star, but you also want to power up Greninja as well. You can only start Portal once, of course, and you can't Melody onto Greninja, so the energy attachments have to be very, very carefully planned by Joseph here.
Irida will be the supporter of choice for Joseph. It will just be the switch and this second Origin Form Palkia V. And thanks to Star Portal, any attack could be powered up in this case, and that switch signals to me that we're most likely going to see this Origin Form Palkia V-Star attack. And the nice thing about it is, as a V-Star Pokemon, 280 HP, Charizard next turn will only be dealing 210, so not really fearing a knockout as long as there's some cards I'm not aware of in Austin's list.
Yeah, I think Joseph definitely in a commanding position at this point in time. But Austin, I mean, you don't want to bench the Rotom because it doesn't have any usability because of the Spiritomb. But if you have to set up your Charizard, you're definitely going to. Yeah, Forest Sealstone can work.
Joseph considering what to do. Will put himself on odd prize cards here, but will at least be able to use this Star Portal, remove the Charmander out of play. Was thinking for a second maybe Chien-Pao could be the attacker of choice, but it is risky with all of these tool cards that can boost the damage up.
Indeed, and also like getting rid of energies from play can be a little problematic. Maybe saving that Chien-Pao hit for a potential Charizard EX knockout right later down the line could be impactful. Now, I think the one big thing is there's no energies attached onto this Greninja, right? So there's no threat of the canceling Cologne plus cross switcher play. Maybe that's a decision based on the fact that Joseph prized 2 cross switchers, but I would have liked to at least see one of those energies go into Greninja to at least keep that threat potentially available later down the line.
And now that I'm thinking back on this, maybe just playing the Arven the previous turn would have just been fine, especially if you're going to find Rare Candy anyways this turn. We saw the top deck for turn B Iono. If that card could have potentially been in hand, and with some combinations of Forest Sealstone, we could have seen a lot more, but with the way this hand is looking, I'm not sure you can get both Pidgeot EX and Charizard EX out this turn, and Austin's going to be forced with sort of a tough decision here. With 4 energy on board, could we see a Hailblade next turn deal some big damage and wreak havoc on Austin's side?
I mean, that would be a little short still in the damage, right? 5 energies.
But with Melanie,
With
maybe.
Melanie, yeah, of course. So that's the big question, right? Do you risk that possibility or do you not? But it seems like Austin taking it like a little bit slower, just going for that Charmeleon and the Defiance band. So perhaps waiting or letting Joseph take an extra price card before going into the big Charizard EX attack. And yeah, it seems like that's what we're going to see here.
It's almost a bonus turn, it feels like, for Joseph. Just getting to take another knockout, remove a Charmander out the board, and more importantly, as you said, get more energy into play and build up potentially a big knockout later down the line.
Now, Joseph top decked the second copy of Cross Switcher, and he's holding Irida, so, I mean, it's impossible now, but imagine if there were a few energies on this Greninja, we could have seen that canceling Cologne play and knocked out Charmander and Charmeleon, and then you're good to go, right? Which I don't think Joseph expected Austin to have such an underwhelming turn, and that's probably why he didn't do it, but yeah, that could have been, could be something to consider for the next game.
Getting rid of that Suicune V with the Earthen Vessel, finding a water energy, and there's a lot of choices available on Joseph's side. Irida can fetch out water Pokemon of choice. Could be another copy of that Origin Form Palkia V-Star and some sort of item card, but we're going to actually see the Greninja used first. What are the 2 cards? Not super impactful. Does find the Lost Vacuum, but yet to be any relevant tools to get out of play so far.
Now, I'm wondering what Joseph is planning here. Would you go ahead and target the Charmeleon with the double cross switcher? Like, clearly your opponent struggled to evolve into Charizard EX the previous turn, so would you take advantage of that?
it's tough knowing that one more of those cross switcher are prized, and by playing these two cross switcher, you potentially limit yourself for that option off of Irida later down the line. You do have the one copy of Boss's Orders. That is still a potential option. It is going to be limiting some gust. I think with how Austin didn't play a supporter card on turn 1 and then played a supporter on this turn, you just push your aggression here. That's what your deck is all about, putting aggression on turn 2, gusting up anything you need to, and just taking knockouts on these relevant pieces.
Exactly. Destabilizing Charizard as much as possible, I think, is pretty key. There's no Pidgeot, there's no Charizard EX still, so we are going to see the cross switcher. I am perplexed by that energy attachment on the Chin Pao.
I feel like with Origin Form Palkia, you kind of just want to have it for later on. You want to get yourself to the point where when you're using Qianpao, it wouldn't matter if Origin Form Palkia was in the active or the Qianpao. They're both going to be knocked out by a Burning Darkness later on. And Joseph's in the tank here. What do you go after? We'll go after that Charmeleon with the cross switcher and bringing this Qianpao up. I mean, you take the knockout, you go down to 4 prizes, but you don't even need Defiance Band anymore. Burning Darkness is dealing 240 damage. The question is for Austin, can you find the pieces to get there? And with this hand, it might just be Iono. Look at 6 cards and see if you can find Rare Candy Charizard.
Indeed, that very passive turn by Austin previously when, I mean, I guess the 4 Sealstone, there was a 4 Sealstone prize.
True.
And the other one, he only plays one.
Only
That's
one.
why. So there was no way to get the Charizard. I could have sworn there was a second 4 Sealstone available. Now it all makes sense for sure.
And even getting rid of Rotom with Lost Vacuum, just playing cards from the hand that aren't needed, getting rid of the Justified Gloves. 6 cards, big here for Austin. Do we see Rare Candy Charizard? What is this hand? Battle Pass, 4 Fire Energy, and the Charmander just one in play. There's no way to get another one. Sure, you can recover these, but retreating to anything here feels bad. You've got to at least save this Charmander, but you know your opponent's playing such aggressive decks, something that can gust this up here. Can Joseph find a way to bring this Charmander into the active and negate another 2 turns here for Austin?
Now, funnily enough, Joseph got 3 Melanie off of that Iono, so we're seeing multiple copies for both players of the same card. And, I mean, that, like, it's a low chance that that happens, but it's not impossible, right?
Of course, you kind of want to go after this Charmander, but with how ahead you are in the game already, I mean, you're going to have taken 3 of your prize cards as it is, as not really the most relevant cards there off the Melody. But
yeah, double battle VIP pass, not great. Finally, we see an attachment onto the Greninja, choosing to do that instead of concealed cards, which I think makes a lot of sense. We are going to see the escape rope to make sure that we are continuing with the pressure, and Joseph about to be 3 prizes up against a board of Manaphy, Pidgey, and Charmander with 4 energies in hand.
if there wasn't an Iono top deck there was nothing going on. So a big break for Austin. I mean, this Charizard deck, it scales with damage the more prizes you take. And with 3 prizes now, this Charizard EX, if it does come into play, Burning Darkness will be dealing 270 damage. So with either the Vitality Band or Defiance Band, actually there is no Vitality Band in this, just the 1 copy of Defiance Band. Going for Justified Gloves instead for that slot, as Super Rod will put some of these Pokemon back. It's sort of a double-edged sword here, though.
Exactly. Increasing the chance of being able to bench more Charmanders, but slightly decreasing the chance of you finding Rare Candy Charizard. And the writing's on the wall, Ethan. Like 3 prizes down. If you don't get Charizard this turn, it's going to be really difficult to really close out the game. And the longer the game goes on, Joseph is accumulating more and more energies onto the board. So then Qianpao might just be able to wreck the single Charizard that Austin is able to pull off.
Finds the combination, though. Rare Candy, Charizard, and Defiance Band. Those are a perfect 3 cards off this Iono.
Yep, definitely making up for that 4 energy draw from the previous Iono, right?
Even with that Super Rod to put those pieces back.
Yeah.
Charizard calling in for some support, coming in, Infernal Rain, bringing these energies on. The Pidgey can retreat. With this Defiance Band, 300 damage, wiping this Origin Form Palkia V-Star off the board. And this is what we're talking about. With such a strong start for Joseph, it seemed very clear he may have had things wrapped up, but not so fast. This Charizard has 330 HP, is hitting for more damage. I mean, Austin's still behind on prize cards, so this Defiance Band will be active the following turn too.
Certainly, and now imagine if Joseph had been a little more conservative with his energy and had taken a knockout on that Charmeleon with Palkia instead of the Qianpao. This Qianpao would have 2 energies currently. There would be 5 on the board, and then a single attachment would allow Qianpao to take down the Charizard EX. Now Joseph needs to find a Melanie.
And this is the struggle with how Joseph has built this deck. There's no Bibarel or any way to sort of help support the deck, find these pieces out. And this is a very sketchy 4 cards here. You already discarded Luminion earlier in the game, though, with this Ultra Ball.
Well, the issue is this Spiritomb, which locked down Rotom, is also blocking out that Luminion, even if it was available, right? So Spiritomb, good in the beginning. That Mew EX needs to be Joseph's saver at this point in time.
There for that Genome hack, but Restart is a great ability to draw some cards. I mean, I don't even know if this last card can be thinned out. I think it's something like a Cross Switcher or a Earthen Vessel. Big 2 cards here. What do we see off the Restart? There's a Boss's Order, so at minimum, I mean, you could take a knockout, but yeah, so many energy were discarded. 3, 4 energy in the discard pile. There's only 8, so none of the prize cards all in play, and this poor Chien-Pao is just sitting in the active spot, unable to move, unable to attack, and as a sitting duck for next turn.
I think we're about to see a big comeback here, Ethan. Joseph not able to even attack this turn at all. Does remove the Defiance Band, taking away the possibility of a boss KO on Joseph's Palkia V-Star this upcoming turn, but we just see a simple pass.
And look at this hand. Energy already, the Manaphy in play, and just going to research the hand away, content with these 2 cards. Rare Candy Pidgeot found as well, and that will be the support Austin needs to keep pace up in this game. Quick search available to find whatever piece he wants.
I think another big thing
and that's it.
Yeah, there we go. Big comeback by Austin after almost having no Charmanders in play, and I have to wonder if Greninja had some energies attached to it in the beginning. Could that have been a way to fully deny the Charmanders? Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big part of how your deck can possibly win. So I would like to see a little bit more focus and trying to pull off the canceling Cologne play that way.
It's sort of a trade-off. I mean, Chien-Pao is a great ability to use on turn 1, but when you commit your attachment for turn 2, the Spiritomb, you force yourself into a play where either you're going to use Star Portal to attack or you have to find Melody. Sometimes it could just be better to just attach the energy straight off and preserve that ability. But this was a back-and-forth game. It looked super strong for Austin in the beginning, but with not having a lot of support and taking a passive route, not getting that turn 2 Rare Candy Charizard, evolving into Charmeleon, Joseph was able to target it down, take knockouts, go to 3 prizes, but that was the perfect math needed. A perfect 6 cards there off that Iono. Rare Candy, Charizard, Defiance Band, 300 damage into this Origin form Palkia V-Star. And that was what Austin needed to get back in combination with a strong Iono to disrupt Joseph's strong and powerful hand.
Indeed, I think we saw the perfect polar opposites in this round. We saw the strength of Radiant. What? Why are you reacting?
Oh, the Greninja's in the prize.
The Greninja's prize. Ooh, that is a big prize.
And Mew in the prizes again for Austin will have no ability to use something like the Mysterious Tail, and Joseph actually opting to go first in this situation. How do you feel about that with the way this deck is constructed?
I mean, I'm definitely not ideal, I think. I mean, you know Charizard likes to go second. I guess Joseph really wants to get some aggression going, but I think the benefit of having the 4 Battle VIP pass and the possibility of Irida to find those 4 Battle VIP passes as well, I think it's too good to pass up on.
So we will see Ultra Ball get played, and Signal's Origin form Palkia V will come down. And the reason I feel like Greninja being in the prizes is so big is you're not playing something like Bibarel or any other way to draw cards. You're really reliant off concealed cards as many turns as you can.
It's generally pretty much your only draw engine, right? Aside from that Mew EX, but if you have a few decent cards in your hand, Mew EX isn't drawing you too many. So I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, that Greninja being prized is going to be very problematic for Joseph.
And no Battle VIP pass either, just the lone Palkia in play. This hand looks a little bit awkward. Yeah, you have Rare Candy Charizard, but you can't afford to just put 2 Charmander in play because that's just an open invitation for a Radiant Greninja to come down. Luminion is a little bit of a risk to have down in this matchup. Low HP, perfect target as well as a bench sitter to increase the damage from Subspace Well. But, I mean, Arven's the supporter you want to play on turn 1, and it's more than worth it in this situation, especially with the Rare Candy Charizard as a follow-up.
Indeed, an even bigger liability than the Luminion would be not having much else behind you, right? So sometimes you just have to go for it. I think this is something that a lot of newer players might be considering, like, well, I tend to lose games where they go boss and knock out my Luminion V, right? But maybe without playing that Luminion V, you wouldn't have been in a situation where you would have been able to potentially win the game or get close to winning the game without that help for your setup. So I think it's pretty important to consider the benefits of the Luminion as opposed to the possibilities, the potential hindrances. And yeah, you get the benefit of Forest Seal Stone, and all of a sudden, Austin off to a very powerful start here.
Using it early to build as great of a board as you can. Pretty sure we'll see double Charmander come into play. That does, as you mentioned, take away the canceling Cologne from being so powerful and shutting off the attackers. Having some Pidgey in play is always good as a backup to make sure you can get quick search online. But Austin, I think, smartly understanding the priorities here in this game, too.
Yeah, certainly. Charizard is what you need to be able to pull this off. The earlier it comes out, I think, the better, despite it not being at full power, right? If your opponent is not taking too many prizes, having them go through that 330 HP is very, very key.
Now, Shivery Chill to start the turn off for Joseph. It does have Water Energy in the discard pile and a Melanie in the hand, so... I mean, Irida is such a powerful supporter, though, early on in the game. I don't know if there's any other choice, though. You kind of got to play what you have.
Indeed, and Joseph really missing a switching card to be able to be aggressive, but of course, the more aggressive you are, the less likely you are to be able to succeed against Charizard. And here we go. Yeah, found the switch. Not much else in the hand, though.
Another Ultra Ball. I mean, you got a few choices here. What would you like to see grabbed off of this?
I mean, an adaptation I would have liked to see Joseph do, which I think he's about to get rid of, is focus a little on the Ice Rider. I think the Ice Rider, with its high HP, right, even if you're down to 3 prizes and your opponent has Defiance Band, you're still out of range. So being able to trade effectively with it, I think, could be quite powerful, especially with Austin's huge bench at this point in time. You can use Ride of the High King to deal a lot of damage, and then max lands if you really need to get that bonus damage. And you can also Melanie onto it. I think that's a big thing, yeah, because you cannot Melanie onto Chimpao, you cannot Melanie onto Greninja. So I would have liked that, especially since you already have the Ice Rider Palkia, the Ice Rider Remax in your hand.
Look at this solid hand for Austin as action is on him. Rare Candy Charizard doesn't even need to fetch it out with something like an Arven, and just going to straight away evolve into that beautiful Charizard EX, grabbing 3 energy out of the deck. There actually is not 3 even available. A little bit of a hefty cost early on, discarding 2 energy off of the Ultra Ball and only playing 8, and with 2 of those in the prize cards, going to be a little bit short on those. May have to rely on something like the Ordinary Rod to bring those back later on.
Now, bear in mind that Joseph doesn't know this, right? Joseph doesn't necessarily know that there's 2 energies prize, so it could just be, well, they're choosing not to attach as many as possible. And wow, that Charmeleon off the top as the last card, that is huge. Charizard's not in any risk this upcoming turn, I don't think, but I mean, it never hurts to have that already set up.
Exactly. You don't have Pidgeot set up, so finding Rare Candy Charizard is going to be a little bit of a difficult ask, as there we see Burning Darkness, 210 damage, setting up for a 2-hit knockout onto this Origin Form Palkia V-Star. And, I mean, as your Joseph, yes, you have the prize lead right now, but with all these Charizards being streamed ever so flawlessly, how do you make up? And it may come down to just a big knockout somewhere in the line. Now, this Melanie will be nice. Of course, energy acceleration, a big key part of this deck. We need to see some more powerful cards off of this. And that's the fourth Melanie.
That's 4 Melanies for Joseph. That is actually quite impressive. I mean, Melanie's great, don't get me wrong, but you don't want all 4, and especially with the lack of Radiant Greninja, right? You're not getting as many energies into a discard pile as you would like, so you're not getting as much draw power as you would like combined with Melanie, right? Greninja plus Melanie is 5 cards total. Now it's just 3. We are seeing the Mew, though. Interesting choice.
Trying to wonder what card could possibly be valued here off the Mysterious Tail. Now, the Radiant Greninja is in the prize card, so maybe something like Hisuian Heavy Ball to grab that out. But the Manaphy's in play, so with that wave availability, it's blocking it. But 6 cards here for Joseph. Let's see if there's anything that can help him out to get himself into a position here. There is that Hisuian Heavy Ball, and I think that will be a pretty clear choice for Joseph. I mean, you got Earthen Vessel to get energies down. That's not bad either. We see there's no energy cards so far in the hand. And Xianpao, I mean, it can possibly attack, but I actually don't even know if there's any water energy in the discard pile for Star Portal to fuel.
Yeah, unfortunately, there aren't any. If Joseph had retreated, he would have had some available, but I mean, this will get the Greninja. but there's no way to use it just yet, right? And there's no Irida to have like a follow-up canceling Cologne turn. So maybe Joseph thinking, okay, I need to take this chill turn, wait for a bit, let Austin take a price card here, and then I'll continue with my aggression afterwards. However, I think we're going to see the cross-switcher aggression.
What would you like to see this go after? Maybe the Luminion V potentially to take some prizes? But it's tough, right? Because the more prizes you take, the more you feel that Burning Darkness attack.
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, right, if you knock out the Luminion, you've taken 3, and then all of a sudden, the Defiance Band is active, and your next Palkia V-Star can be immediately one-hit KO'd the turn after. So Joseph did get an Irida off the prize cards, but the big problem is the last cross-switcher is priced, and it's at the very top. So even if Joseph wanted to pull off the canceling Cologne play, it's not going to work out.
An interesting choice there to play Boss's Orders. I mean, you already had the knockout guaranteed onto this Origin Form Palkia V-Star. However, with there only being one copy of Chien-Pao EX in the deck and the Lost City, you now remove that from play for the rest of the game.
I think Austin was definitely covering his bases there. Like, there is a way for Joseph to get energies in the discard pile and then have a big Chien-Pao one-hit KO on the Charizard EX. This completely prevents that, right? And now he knows that Charizard will remain available and alive until the next turn at the very least, and will be able to take probably 2 more prize cards.
Now this Origin Form Palkia V did get its 3rd energy. I think that's probably, I mean, maybe you want to use that to attack this turn is the idea. So this 3rd energy really not doing anything onto this. You could have at least put it on the active if you're planning to retreat the energies off.
Yeah, potentially that could have been a little better. And Joseph did draw that Ice Rider Calyrex, right? And he did discard the other Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX that he already had available in his hand. Now he has a Palkia, no Palkia V-Star in sight.
That's true.
We would already have that Ice Rider potentially set up, has higher HP, right, can withstand. It finally hits the field, but with the other rider discarded, we need to see a Super Rod.
Yeah, but this is tough here if you're going to use this Origin Form Palkia V to attack. I mean, you can use a Hyperspace Break to do 200 damage, but it's just going to get knocked out in return, so just going to save the energies in play. Subspace Swell, 7 Pokemon in play, so that will be 200 damage exactly.
Yep. I think
Charizard in range.
I think Joseph was about to get prizes thinking, oh, Charizard's a fire type, right? I'm just going to knock it out. Well, no, the Terastallization mechanic really factoring in here. I think Charizard is the first big Pokemon that, with the Terra mechanic, that has been playable, right? But I feel like in future sets, we're definitely going to see cards play into that, and we're going to have a lot more variety, and the typings mess with a lot of players' minds.
Now, Austin's in an excellent spot here, but does need to get down. I feel like another Charmeleon here, or rather another Charmander to put himself into play. And, I mean, there's the Iono in hand. Can thin this out a little bit. Now, I feel like having Collapse Stadium around, though, for later could be a good option. Is it really worth just playing it to thin your hand out at this point?
I mean, yeah, maybe not, because by playing it down, you're not really thinning with Iono, right? The card just goes to the bottom of the deck. So, I mean, the Lost City effect in terms of sending that Palkia to the Lost Zone, probably not as important in the grand scheme of things, but Austin definitely needs to see a Charmander or a way to find it, and there's no way.
No Charmander in sight, no way to search it out, and this hand does not look great. No even follow-up for the following turn. Yes, you'll take prize cards, but what's your attacker when even this Origin Form Palkia V, not even the V-Star comes up and takes a knockout? Is you can at least put these Pokemon in the deck for the next turn, prepare to hopefully get some Charmanders out, but that's going to be a following turn of really no advanced pressure on Joseph's board.
And now, Ethan, that 3rd energy might actually come into play, because this Palkia V-Star will be going down, but how can Joseph knock out the Charizard? Well, this Palkia, right? That 3 energy attack will be the way. I don't think Joseph drew a very good hand off of the Iono. Does have Luminion, though, and there's no Spiritomb in play this time.
That will be benched right away. Luminous Sign, grabbing the supporter card, and it is going to be the Roxanne, so adding insult to injury, putting Austin down to a 2-card hand. Usually at this point in the game, it's no big deal. You have Quick Search, but that's yet to be established.
Yeah, no Quick Search, not a single Charmander. Yeah, so what does Pidgey's attack even do? That's the only option Austin has next turn to actually be aggressive.
I mean, calling for family is like seeing the family show up 45 minutes late to dinner, right? It's
Yeah.
like, we've already ate our food here. What are you doing here?
Indeed, or tackling for 20. I mean, Palkia cannot attack next turn with its attack, so you could deal 40 damage with Pidgey. But yeah, Austin, against the ropes, does find a Charmander off of that Roxanne to 2, however.
And this Super Rod will put back the only copy of Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX into the deck. So that's now a potential option for later on in the game. And Earthen Vessel grabbing these water energies out. And despite all of this, Joseph has also yet to use his Star Portal V-Star power.
Yeah, that is also very, very important to consider. So has the possibility to find Canceling Cologne, knock out Manaphy and Pidgey. Also has the possibility to find his copy of Boss's Orders and take down that Luminion that you were very, very right in saying it could prove to be a liability.
And even finds the Origin form Palkia V-Star. I mean, it honestly is just worth evolving it. It really doesn't make a difference in this case.
Already has the Boss's Orders in his hand, though, so unless Austin finds a way to get rid of that Luminion from play, Joseph has game in hand.
And I mean, even if you can, what difference does it make? You can't attack this turn. Your opponent's going to go to one prize card. If so, I mean, you can bench this Charmander. You kind of have to at this position, though.
I think we're going to be going to a game 3, though. There's the Boss's Orders. There's the bench Pokemon. Make sure you're doing enough damage. That Luminion is gone. Joseph shows the Boss's Orders. And we're heading to a game 3 right here.
What looked to be an excellent start over on Austin's side. Just the steam sort of ran out. It was not having the supporter cards when needed. Yeah, you apply aggression onto great Pokemon to knock out. I just wonder if Austin attacks with Charizard every turn from that point on. I feel like he has that game too.
Definitely. I think we've been tricked, right? Game 1 was looking very good for Joseph. He ended up losing. Game 2 was looking very good for Austin, and he ended up losing. What's in store for us in this Game 3?
Pablo, if this weekend has showed me anything, it's that Game 3 is the best game of our set. We've had some great Game 3s, and with so much on the line, I know our competitors are going to show us a great time here for our third and final game of this set. Yeah, that Lost City play, at first, felt like going after maybe something like the Origin form Palkia V before it's evolved. You can take that knockout at that position, but yeah, just proved to be a great play, removing that out of play, and that in combination with Iono later on in the game, I mean, it was sort of back and forth. The Radiant Greninja in the prize cards again, and that Charmeleon too is not a piece you want to see with how crucial it was in Austin to sort of climb back in that game later on.
Yeah, and Austin has no way to access or even shuffle the prizes, so we definitely won't be seeing that Charmeleon hit the field for a long time now. Now, the chance of you prizing Radiant Greninja in back-to-back games is so low, right? So Joseph not going to be happy with this.
Seeing that though, wow, what a great start. Double battle VIP pass and immediately getting Spiritomb down in order to prevent not only Lumineon, but Rotom from coming down. I mean, if we even go back to game 2, if Spiritomb was able to come down turn 1 for Joseph, that strong start of the Lumineon in play for the Battle Pass and the Forest Seal Stone, that's not even a potential.
Indeed. Now, off to a pretty good start with that double battle VIP pass. That missing Greninja, though, is definitely a big deal. And I like the Mew. I like the Mew hitting the board. It's a way to help find a few extra pieces, maybe even find a Heavy Ball to unlock your Mew, right? That does become a priority. Joseph does have an Irida for next turn, though, so that could be a way we unlock the Mew VMAX.
And
the Radiant Greninja.
Yeah, and importantly, an energy attachment. And yeah, look at this hand. You have Lumineon as your top deck for turn, but you can't play it because of that Feathered and Misfortune ability.
Yeah, Spiritomb really putting in the work right here. And I think even though it can hurt you and limit your own Lumineon, it's definitely worth it, right? Charizard relies so much on Rotom V and usually Lumineon, so we're seeing Austin have to rely on Mysterious Tail to be able to set up here.
Yeah, and looking at the rest of this hand, Boss's Orders is the only supporter card. Just going to go ahead and play this Mew, looking for Battle VIP Pass. 6 cards off the top, but nowhere to be found.
No, Charmander is going to hit the field here, Ethan. That's really bad news. Or I guess we have one, but then what else are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, usually you'd kind of want to thin a Pokemon out before using Mysterious Tail, but with how poor the hand is for Austin, you kind of needed to take the risk there of not thinning the card out, hitting Battle Pass, and having a follow-up for next turn.
Yeah, even a level ball would have been fine, right? So you can establish the Charmander, keep the Ultra Ball as you do have for Candy in your hand. We see a Boss's Orders onto a different Palkia to try to delay this attack. Things are not looking good here for Austin.
Hold on, are the pieces? Oh no, Irida can find the cross switcher, but it's just one energy card short. You have the Ultra Ball as well as the Irida to find this Palkia V-Star out. I don't think there's any energy in the discard pile though, so is this sort of the choice here of how you want to play this turn out? And it may actually have to just pass the turn back over. Okay, well there's some ways that this can play out, Pablo. This Pokemon can get powered up if Joseph wants to use the V-Star power here.
I mean, I feel like when you see Austin have such an underwhelming start, right? Their support for turn is Boss's Orders. They only have one Charmander in play. In the follow-up turns, there's no more Battle VIP pass at all. I think you have to go for it, right? You have to Ultra Ball away these two energies, find another Pokemon, and then just commit to your V-Star. I don't think there's any other way to do this.
It looks like Joseph agrees with that point. Looking at the Ultra Ball, and it will hit the board. So it's sort of give it or take, but as we've seen in this matchup, it's about pushing your aggression, right? As soon as you have a little bit of leeway, you got to take it. You got to go in with it. It will be just the Mew grab, so restart, providing a little bit of support. This bench will be full after this turn, though. No Qianpao hitting the board yet. And maybe that's a lesson that Joseph learned from the last game of, yeah, Qianpao's great at using that Shivery Chill ability to grab energies, but I kind of may want that for later on in the game.
Yeah, and if it's safe in my hand, right, that means it's not at risk of getting lost seeded, and then maybe I can use it later down the line. However, with the V-Star exhausted, Qianpao not likely an attacker. What is Austin going to top deck here? A Pidgeot.
And all he can do is attach the energy to Charmander, but Joseph was able to find Boss's Orders off of that restart last turn. Can get some more energy into play, power this up, and Joseph is running away with this game 3.
Yeah, playing super fast, you can tell. He knows he's in a really good position, trying to make sure that he has enough time to close this out, and there's definitely plenty of time. So I would be very surprised if we see anything other than Boss KO on the Charmander.
Attach for turn, Boss up the Charmander, and that's it. Austin says, you've got it. I can't win this game back. Joseph Nawal advancing to 10-2-1, potentially on the win in the next round for top 8 here in San Antonio.
Indeed, exactly 0 people predicted Palkia V-Star to make another top 8 run, and it's about to. Yeah, Ethan, I was never expecting to see, like, I feel like when you talk about VMAXs, you think about Urshifu, you think about Inteleon, and you think about Mew VMAX, and that's it, right? Every other VMAX feels like it's extinct, but Ice Rider about to make a name for itself. Palkia V-Star, is it the comeback story of the weekend?
That's the question. We've seen sort of this running theme, these older cards, despite new toys coming out, new strategies, new powerful EX Pokemon.
Who?
Listen, the ancient Pokemon in my mind is the ancient Pokemon in this format, the ones that have been around for a while. What a set this was, though. Back and forth, 3 battle VIP pass, but I mean, with that strong start, things sort of fizzled out in this game. Things went excellently for Joseph to start out. Not so much for Austin, but it was really that big Iono to 6, finding Rare Candy Charizard Defiance Band that saved Austin in this game number 1 and put him up 1-0.
Indeed, and I feel like on paper this matchup should favor Charizard EX, right? It should, like, the longer the game goes on, if both players set up normally, Austin had the bigger damage output. It's just Joseph was able to destabilize that. His deck is super aggressive, and he was able to take advantage of Austin's very unfortunate hand and run away with both Game 2 and Game 3.
Yeah, this Game 2, close, was able to bring up this Qianpao. Things were looking great for Austin, but just didn't have the gas in the tank. Attacked with this Charizard, but maybe it was just that Charmander not being in the prize cards. I mean, we saw the Rod not get played till later on, so there are really not a lot of options there. And Subspace Swallow and Attack we've been saying on and off for a while, closing out Game 2. And as Game 3 started, Joseph made it as hard as possible for Austin. Austin choosing to go second is what you want, but when your opponent's playing Spiritomb, it's a little bit of a trade-off, right? Sometimes yes, the safe approach is great in terms of getting set up with Charizard, but it's sort of this trade-off. Do I risk it and bench Rotom V and get to draw some cards and have a good setup? My opponent's really not playing cards with like Iono to disrupt me early on, or do I play safe? And that safe play, so to say, didn't pay off when the hand wasn't strong enough to support Austin in that third game in that series.
Indeed, and even the stars aligning for Joseph with that bosses orders off the prize cards, right? The single copy of bosses orders being found exactly in the next turn where you can use it to pick off your opponent's only Charmander in play.
Seeing lots of storylines here, Pablo.